You're listening to the Smith House Adventure Show.
Could you explain maybe for people who don't know what the Pathfinder course, maybe an American equivalent kind of unit?
Yeah, that's a great question. So at the time that I did my Pathfinder course, the Canadian Special Operations organization didn't exist. And so the Pathfinder members were considered to be the most elite in the Canadian Armed Forces. In fact, at the time when I did my Pathfinder course, it was considered to be, and this is arguable. I mean, depending on who you line up to have the conversation, but at the time, it was broadly considered as the hardest course in NATO. Given that it was 70 days long, you got about one meal per day, you got about 3 hours of sleep. It was constant work. And it wasn't constant work in the sense of you're always lifting logs or carrying boats. It was academically rigorous, intellectually challenging. The requirements for accountability were extreme. You were always under pressure for leadership positions. There was always an eye on you, always. And so you were under the performance gun of no room for error. It was almost a three strikes and you're out course. So, and the strikes were minor. I do recall, I'll give you a very, very brief example of how unforgiving the standards were. I was the patrol commander, which means the remaining characters on my course. We started with about 100. It got culled down to 15 at this point. There was about 10 of us left. And I was a patrol commander. So the men working for me, we had a very complex task. We had to parachute in on a night parachute drop into the middle of nowhere. Move ourselves a great distance, carrying a lot of weight under a lot of stress, finally get to a point sometime very early in the morning where I was going to set up a drop zone to call in a CC-130 Hercules, a large transport airplane that was going to drop a load out of the back of the ramp. So effectively, the plane flies extremely low, just a few feet off the deck. They push a big load out the back, and then the plane keeps on flying. And so I was responsible for that drop, which meant that I had to have people at the leading edge, at the trailing edge. I had to have markers out. I had to have all kinds of things, the wind, the this, the that stuff. And so I had all of my men deployed out in the appropriate positions. And it came down to one guy who was attached to our course as a helper, just a helper, to carry the massive loads that we had to carry. And so I took him, I set his compass bearing for him. I pointed him in the direction with the compass, said, you've got to walk 100 paces, and 100 paces, just stop and put down your big orange panel marker and don't move. And I'll call you back on the comms when I need you. So just follow this 100 paces, stop. Well, the guy did follow the bearing, but he stopped just a few paces short. And for that, I failed the entire patrol. And there goes one strike. And so the patrol was like a multi-day operation with massive complexity. And for the sake of just a couple of extra paces, the guy couldn't count the right number of paces. That was it. That was me failing the patrol. And so it's a test of all kinds of things, but certainly there's no forgiving on that course. So again, probably the hardest course in NATO at the time. And what did I learn from that? I learned to maintain high standards, but I learned no quit. And that's a big part of perseverance. On day one, you know it's going to be really hard, but you don't know what you're getting yourself into. And as the days unfold, they just keep getting harder. And you just keep thinking more and more and more. I didn't think it was going to be this hard until you're so thick in it. It's just hard all the time. And it's at that point that you get to decide why you're there. And it's the why that makes a difference. Why are you there? Because if your why isn't strong enough, you're going to quit for sure, guaranteed, just like every other guy who quit before you, the day before that quit. You need to have a really strong why. And so I think that Pathfinder was the course that taught me a no quit attitude. Just because the difficulties in that course were so extreme, they were almost cartoonishly hard. And so when you face that level of difficulty and don't quit, it teaches you no quitness. And I know that isn't a word, but it should be a word because it's that grittiness. It's that no quit attitude. It's that I understand my why. I'm not going to leave this place. It's that stuff that allows you to punch forward into all of the other difficult things that I faced in my life. So you asked specifically a course where it kind of set me up for some of the things that I've done. Pathfinder was hard, but it didn't. I said that I'd failed a large, complex, multi-day patrol, but I didn't fail too many other things so that they had to bounce me off the course. But my Army sniper course was the first course that I ever started seeing failures within myself. I was naturally pretty good at seeing excellence in anything that I put my mind to, but my Army sniper course set me up for so many failures that it was a bit disorienting how many times I failed tasks on that course. If I was spotting something 1,000 meters away, if I said they were wearing black gloves, but they were wearing brown gloves, I fail on that objective. And so these kind of minor failures started stacking up until I felt like I didn't even belong on that course. Now, I've talked to other snipers, very good friends of mine, master snipers, that report the same thing, whereby they were accomplished individuals who were considered to represent excellence in the craft. But on that course, you just fail so many times. It's not even humbling. It's just a freaking failure beatdown. And it's not designed to beat you down with failure. It's just designed to fail you. And if you don't fail, well, congratulations. You're one of the very few who doesn't fail that course. But the course is so rigorous and so high standard that there's so little room for error as a sniper that you will not pass go if you're making minor mistakes. And again, that course didn't teach me perseverance. I'd already learned that. What it taught me was how to manage failure, which is a large part that feeds into perseverance. If you're a quitter, it doesn't matter how gritty you are. You can be super grit. But if you're a quitter, if you quit at the drop of a hat, you can be the toughest guy in the world. But if you're used to a quit cycle, if you're used to, that's my MO, that's what I do when things get tough, well, it doesn't matter. You can be the toughest guy in the world. You're quitting on day 2, and that's just a fact. So I think you've got to face tough times, but you've got to face tough times that produce failures as well so that you can learn how to navigate, learn how to move through, and be successful failure after failure after failure.
Thanks for your time. Please like, subscribe, and comment to help grow the show. And remember, get back up.